Hello, everybody. I'm Chuck Everson, and welcome to the Big East Rewind with my partner, Sonny Spera from Syracuse University. Today, Sonny, we've got a great show in store for everybody. One of your guys, one of my guys, I grew up playing against this guy on Long Island, and then got the opportunity to play against him again in the Big East. One of your good buddies, and they talk about the Big East was a rough and tumble league. Every night was a war. Every night was a battle. And this guy was one of the biggest, toughest guys in the league at that time, and he was the protector of all your guards there at Syracuse. So why don't you do the honors and introduce Big Hawk for us?
Well, my pleasure. My pleasure. So this is my brother from another mother. So we came into Cuse together as freshmen. Andre was the New York State High School Player of the Year. It was a huge recruit for us. I know we had to pull him away from Villanova and Georgetown. I know they were recruiting him heavily. We had to convince him that the beautiful snow-covered valleys and hills of Syracuse was a better place to be. And he came in and he started and played every game for 4 years. I don't ever remember him being sick. I don't ever remember him missing a day of practice. I don't ever remember him with even a nick or a bruise, even though I know he was banged up because, as we talked about, the wars. And from Malvern High School on Long Island, the Big Hawk, Andre Hawkins. Welcome, Hawk.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sonny and Chuck, man. I appreciate it. How you guys doing?
Great. Good to see you, Hawk. It's been a long time.
I know, but I see you on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's right. I mean, that's one of the things that brought about Sonny and I doing this is, you get to stay in touch with guys that you've played with and against through social media, Facebook, etc. And it's pretty cool to see what everybody's up to these days.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I appreciate the social media. Definitely has its place, as long as it's used properly.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, Andre, if you would have had Chuck on his recruiting visit, maybe we could have put him in orange instead of having him in Villanova blue. What do you think?
I don't know what it was. I kept telling people, I'll play power forward. Please, we need a center. I'm not a center. They wouldn't do it. They're like, don't go there. He's going to play center, so you're not going to play. I'm like, yo, come on over. I don't know what was the deal, man.
Well, Sonny did such a great job that I turned around and when I left there, went over and signed with Rowley. So. It was his recruiting skills,
Yeah. My charm.
It wasn't from lack of a good time though on the visit. I'll say that. We definitely had fun there. That's a great campus. It's big and everything, but you still had a small town feel when you went out places and stuff.
Yeah.
I really
Marshall Street was amazing.
Marshall Street's the best.
Yeah, Marshall Street was definitely amazing. I don't know what it's really like now. Haven't been up there in a long time and just walked the street. But back in the day, I think it was like 23 bars or clubs in a 2-block radius. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You didn't have to look for it. You could find it very easily.
Oh, that's true. I remember Varsity's Pizza and Sutter's Mill and all those places.
Oh, yeah.
Sutter Burgers.
Sutter's is gone.
Yeah. They took that all out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd recognize the street then without all that stuff there.
No, Varsity's still there. Varsity's the anchor. That's right at the end of Marshall Street. So that's not going well. I can't say it's not, but right now it's not. It's someday.
They were famous for their Sicilian pies, right? They made the big Sicilian pizza pies there, right?
Well, they made Sicilian, but they made quick pies. Like you could go in there and in 2 minutes you got your pie. And
wow.
And also their wings were pretty good, right, Hawk?
Yeah, everything was good. The cold ones were good. we could talk. Can we talk about that?
We can. Hey, drinking age was 18 and then 19 and then 21. We were 18. Good.
By the time it was 21, we were 21. It wasn't that fantastic.
We were good. We were always okay.
Timing is everything, guys. So Hawk, talk about growing up on Long Island and how you got involved with this great game of basketball, and some of the and how you came to Syracuse.
Oh my God! Well, first of all, a little story a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know. I never really was going to play basketball. I had really, as a 6th, 7th grader, I had no intention of playing basketball. I didn't start playing basketball till 7th grade. And I always played football. Football was my sport. As a 6th grader, I remember going to the freshman coach and said, hey, next year I'm going to play for you guys. And he looked at me like, yeah, right, whatever. And I started on the freshman team as a 7th grader in football. And after the football season, I said, that's it. I'm not worrying about anything else. And I don't know about you guys at school, but all the coaches did everything. They did basketball, football, they did track. So he came to me and said, where was I in tryouts for the 7th, 8th grade freshman team? I said, I'm not playing. He said, huh? I said, nope. And his name was Mr. Britt. I said, no, I'm not planning on playing. I'm gonna concentrate on my books and get ready for the football season next year. He said, be at tryouts tomorrow. And that was the end of the story. You didn't even question back then. If a coach told you something, he was basically like your father. He said, be there. I was there, and I played, and the rest is history. Morris Brandon, God rest his soul, was my mentor, big brother, first coach, and just amazing, and just taught me everything, the basics about the game and how to love the game and how to give to the game. So that's how I got into playing basketball. And then, as far as Syracuse and being recruited, I was blessed to be able to play on a Malvern high school team that was very good. My sophomore year, we won the states, and I got to play with Riverside Church. And I think that really gave me a boost and was able to do some things with them that a lot of people, took notice, because Hank kind of kept me from going to 5. I didn't go to 5-star. I went to Bill Cronauer's big man's camp, and I learned a lot of stuff there. And went up in Oneonta, went to a big man's camp there.
El Llewellyn.
Yeah, Duke did real well, but didn't get that 5-star rating. And but I went out and played in the BCI out in Arizona my junior year. And it was kind of crazy because I was MVP in one tournament and all tournament team in the next. And, all you're doing is playing. I don't know about these guys now, but the love of the sport was just there. We just wanted to play every day, all day. So, I got an opportunity. Sonny, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I always wanted to go to Maryland. Maryland was the team in the school that I had designs to go to. I was, I was kind of close with Tom Abitamarco, and he was one of the assistants. And if they had offered, I wanted to take it. And I got a form letter that said, hey, thanks for your interest, but we're not interested. I said, crushed, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like going along. I'm like, you know how it is, Chuck, you get all those letters and everything. And, you're reading them, you're all excited. And it was like, well, thank you for your interest, but we're not ready to offer you a scholarship. So, I'm like, wow. And then I get the same letter like a week later. And I go to my coach. I say, Hank, man, do they think I can't read or don't understand? And Lefty Drizel was the head coach. So I guess, the other coach didn't think I could play for him. And so I went out, I'll never forget this. And we played out in Arizona in the BCI. I guess there were 2 guys that were supposed to be going to UCLA. And you know how it is, Chuck. You go out and you play and basically you eat them up. They're not used to that physical play that's in the East, man. And I brought that physical ball, and we put it on them. We won. And all of a sudden, at my first day of practice, I'm like, what's Lefty doing here? And now all of a sudden he wants to talk. But by that time, I was basically done. It was a tough decision for me to make. I really was drawn to really Villanova. I had narrowed it down to Villanova, Virginia, Iona, and Syracuse, really, and St. John's a little bit, but St. John's didn't have a campus. I wanted to have a campus life for me personally, So that's what kind of shut St. John's, which was, I don't know about, I know you being out from Brentwood, you were a little further out, but I mean, for me, St. John's was only about 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
30 or 25 minutes or something like that from where I lived in Lakeview.
Yep.
So, but man, we just and then I came up. Matter of fact, they played St. John's, and I'll never forget the crowd.
Well,
that Syracuse crowd is what won me over personally. The fans, the crowd. Syracuse was down like 20 points before the crowd sat down, before they finally scored a field goal. And I said, I got to be a part of this. So for me, that kind of did it. And they came back and won that game. So
Hey,
you touched on a few things, Hawk, that I want to make sure we don't skip over. Okay. You said you started out playing football. Now you and I had played each other a few times in high school and through Massimino's basketball camps in the summertime.
Yeah.
You were so difficult to play against, because your center of gravity was so low. You had that football mentality of staying low. That just gave me, and you were strong as a bull to begin with, and then doubly strong because of your center of gravity was so low that it made it very, very difficult to play against you. I mean, and deceptively quick because you had the feet, the quick feet like a football player did. How did that help you in your game?
Well, for me personally, I think that you don't have any fear. You don't have any fear of the contact. Football is all about the contact. So, you learn to get, like you said, get low. The lower guy wins. That's what they teach. At least that's what they taught me.
Right.
The lower guy wins. I don't know how many times when I was just starting out that the coach would teach you to fire out, get low, stay low. The lower guy wins. So using your leverage, using your body, and that helped out a lot. I mean, the coaches that I had, they taught me to use the size to block off, to take up the space, to help out when you're playing D, and help and how to move with your feet, stay on your toes when you're playing on offense. So always looking to move so that you're not lead-footed. So
talk about you mentioned his name a couple times, but you played for one of the greatest coaches on Long Island. I had so much respect for this guy, and
that's right where I was going.
That's right where I was going. Hank Williams was an awesome coach, and I got to know Coach Williams a little bit at Coach Massimino's camp because he'd bring you guys up, and Marty Rigger, Coach Rigger, brought us up.
Yeah,
and we wound up eventually meeting you, on the asphalt out there in the Poconos, but. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Williams and what kind of guy he was.
Well, for me, he was another father. I was, when I am of it takes a village to raise a child, because my father passed away when I was like 12 years old. So, my coaches became my father figures between Morris Brandon and Hank Williams. They took me under the wing and taught me and brought me up to be a good man, try to be a good man at all times. And they stressed that. I remember Hank saying it was God, school, and ball. So those, and Scott, I think it was more like God, family, school, and ball, something like that, as far as your priorities. And so, I was blessed to have that. I really was. At that time, you don't really think about it as much about how blessed you are, to have a man like that in your life. But Hank was there, Morris Brandon, Coach Britt, Coach James, all my coaches, went above and beyond. I don't know what these guys are doing now, but the one thing about Hank that I really loved was he had a program. he tried to model his program more like after the colleges, in the sense that, he wasn't going to have 9 seniors on the team, because he knew there was the next year. So he was always developing for the next year, getting ready, so that in a sense you're reloading versus having to start all over every year. So
he reminded me a lot of Coach Thompson from Georgetown, because he was tough on you guys, but at the same time, he was kind of like you said, a father figure, but he was an imposing figure on the sideline. And when he got
it was 6'4".
It was intimidating, man. You guys
all
has
the big coaches, that 6'4", solid guy.
Solid,
it's amazing.
And he used to call you at school, and then I remember him coming up, Andre. I remember that. I remember specifically, and I remember seeing your affinity to this coach, and your reverence and respect for him. Like, Coach Hank's coming up, and he's telling me, listen, I can't spend a lot of time, and like, I got to take care of what I got to take care of. But are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? You going to class? I remember that vividly. And I remember actually being a little jealous that my high school coach wasn't that involved with us. But I do remember that. You remember those times?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they were able to, they brought a team up and played up in the Dome. Unfortunately, we didn't do too well. I think it was Genesee beat us at that time, but I think the guys were a little bit overwhelmed at the facility and stuff like that. So I think they kind of just got caught up in the moment, but not to take anything away from Genesee, of course. But Hank was a special individual. I can't even put words to it, to be honest with you. Other than like a father. He was there, he did things, he looked out for my mother. So I've got nothing but love, but love.
So when you get to campus now, Hawk, right? So we could talk specifically. Like I was in 901 Lawrenson, you were in 903 Lawrenson.
That's right. I was 903. Good.
Right.
You got a memory, boy. I'm scared of you.
Right. Pete Wynn was your roommate, right? I was with Sean. And so we came in. So Pete is 6'9" from Beverly, or Massachusetts, and his claim to fame coming in was he handled Patrick Ewing in a game. So he was recruited. And what were they telling you when you were coming in? Were they telling you and Pete are going to battle for the center? What were they telling you? What were your expectations when you came in?
Well, definitely that it was going to be a battle. It was going to be a battle. That they had, they had, and also Larry, because I didn't think that they realized how bad Larry was hurt, but I knew Larry O'Neal, I knew Sean was playing 4, I knew that Leo was playing 4, so really the center position. Now, Red told me he thought I could start. When I visited, Red was my host, so he was like, you got an opportunity to start. I thought I could start. So, Pete, God bless his soul, man. Pete and I, we said, hey, we're going to go out for this thing, and do the best we could. And we became brothers. I know it was hard at times for him, that I was playing more than he was playing. And I don't know if you remember that incident where Coach had us going at it, man. He had us banging, and we were banging, and it was like, I was really getting to a point where I was getting kind of upset and getting fired up, because Pete was just hitting me with the body. And I said, you know what? I'm about tired. With a little move, he came at me and I flipped him, and he jumped up. I don't know if you remember. He picked me up. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to fight you. And he looked, and then he put me down. He about to slam me to the ground. I said, I'm not going to fight you, Pete, but I'm not going to keep having you slam your body into me, basically fouling. And then, of course, the coaches all were looking, and everything was all intense and looking and didn't know what was going to happen. We kind of just, we just competed, but that's what happens with families. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now that was when Brendan Malone was working with the bigs, right?
That was when Brendan Malone, Moses was working with the big men. Moses. I'm gonna turn this light on. Yeah, Moses was working with the big men. Yeah, Moses, man. I missed him. And that hurt me my senior year too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you know it or realized on the bench things that would happen with Coach and Brendan, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I
Couldn't
mean,
miss it.
It was, you know, they always remind me of the big dog, little dog. Big dog says, hey, do something. Little dog says, what are you talking about? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. 2 minutes later, the little dog says, hey, I got this idea. And it's the same thing the big dog said. And it was like, oh my God. I don't know if I should be telling that, but that just always, and you're sitting there like, wow.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. There were plenty of moments where you just went, whoa, did I just hear that?
Yeah.
I'm going to move a seat down.
Yes. I think, yeah. Should I switch with somebody? You know, this is a little bit intense, but I mean.
But you established yourself. You got the starting position. And now you got to go out and earn it in the Big East, right?
Yeah.
And we're in the same class as Ed Pinckney, Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullins.
Winnington.
It's no joke.
Winnington,
you know, Bill Winnington, Ron Stewart.
All the big boys, all the
no
big
joke.
boys. Yeah.
So how was it now adapting to that style of play on that size basketball floor?
Oh, it was a trial by fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you knew you had to give it your all, and you know it was rough, man. You know it was rough. Our first year, I tell people I lost more games in our first year, freshman year of college, than I did my whole 3 years of high school. You know, we lost 2 games one year, 3 games another year, and 4 games. And we had lost like I think 12. That was amazing. You know, that was just kind of mind-boggling for me because I wasn't used to it, you know, and I never wanted to get used to that, you know. So, but you're playing in a whole different league, you know what I'm saying? The Big East was so. What do we have? Like one year, I think 9 out of 9 teams went postseason.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
You know.
Now remember. So let's talk about now some of the key matchups, right? How about some of the rivalries? When you came in, were you told that, you know, Georgetown is our rival, or was that something you just picked up?
I think I kind of picked up. You hear the story. You heard, everybody knows the Manley story.
The story about Manley. That started it.
Everybody knows the Manley story. So, and now what words were actually used? People use different ones. I've heard different things. I've actually then, you know, officially looked at what Coach Thompson actually said and stuff. But you knew. Mm-hmm. And plus, I played against. I had the pleasure. I played against Patrick in high school my
mm-hmm.
senior year. So we went up to Cambridge and played them. So, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of one of those guys that's like, I'm not really a joiner. I'd rather play against you versus saying, you know, I'm looking to play with you. So when I don't know if it was the game or what happened. I just didn't see myself going to Georgetown, you know, at all, even though Thompson did recruit me at one time. So, mm-hmm. But yeah, oh man, you're talking about and you know, because you were there. A lot of rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
Otis Thorpe, Ray Knight, mm-hmm. you know, Chuck Everson, you know, the
John Pinone
guys. Oh yeah, Pinone. Oh, and Pinone.
You want to talk about that a little bit? Yeah, let's hear about that.
Let me tell you a little Pinone story. Okay, I go to visit Villanova, and I said, I'm not coming here for a tryout. You know, they'll get you to want to play and this, that. No, I'm not here to try out. You either like me or you don't. So I purposely did not bring any sneakers to the visit. So I'm in dress shoes, right? And so okay, they're at their practice, and you know, of course, Raleigh's like, oh yeah, well, let's see what you can do. I said, I'm in dress shoes. And of course, they're egging me on. And he's like, you know, Pinone's like, oh, you scared? So I said, no, I'm not scared. So Boy, he puts a move, hits me in the mouth with a elbow, and scores. So he's walking to the locker room. I said, "Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh, I don't get a chance." I said, "Check. I'm in dress shoes." And he comes over, so he's guarding me, and then I make a little quick move, and I pull up a little short jumper, hit the shot. I said, "Oh, now you can go to the locker room," after I scored. So we hit 1-1. So once again, I knew I was not going to Villanova. I'd rather play against him. So, and I got the little dunk off against him up in the dome. So he lost his mind and went crazy. So. But I think, unfortunately, to me, there's guys that got a little more favoritism. I don't know if you felt like that way, Chuck, but John got away with a lot. He did. I said, "Ref, he's grabbing my shorts." In the referee's face, play ball. I said, "Ref, he's grabbing my shorts. Play ball. I'm not the quickest guy. You don't have to grab my shorts." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but John wasn't as quick as you, and John used every trick in the book to get an advantage.
Oh my God, yes he did. But you know what?
He was like Larry Bird-esque. You know what I mean, Hawk?
Well, let me tell you, I started chopping on his wrist, and the referee's like, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! What are you doing?" I said, "If you're not going to get his hand off my shorts." But John, I didn't know John as a person. You obviously got to know him as a person. I didn't know. I got to know Michael Graham. And you told me, you and I had that conversation that you said Mike's a good guy. Because personally, I always felt like those guys took out some sort of bounty on me, because every year
wasn't just you,
big guy would try me, and I'm like, they'd come out, and yourself, come on, Grady Mateen's about a $105, 7'1", and I'm like, "Grady, what are you doing?" And he's like trying to play this tough guy. I said, I'll break you in half, right? Come on, man. I said, you got to get out my face. This is not going to end well for you. I will break you in half. And he's trying. I said, "I don't know who sent you out here, but this is not a good thing for you."
That was good advice, Hawk.
Yeah, we're going to get to the Michael situation, but I got to ask you, because I thought you played Patrick Ewing tougher than anybody in the conference. I thought you did a tremendous job at giving up 5 to 6 inches, no question. What was your key playing a guy like that? What was your
physical? Try to keep him from going where he wants to go.
Did you beat him to a spot? What'd you do?
The thing about it is, if you we were taught good position to play good D. We tried to play good defense. I tried to play good, solid 3/4 front, whichever I could get on him, because Patrick wasn't as hard a guard as other guys. What people will ask me a lot of times will say, "Hey, who was your toughest guard?" It wasn't Patrick, because if you stop Patrick from getting the ball the first time, the second time, Reggie Williams or David Wingate, somebody's shooting a jump on the other side. Versus you play against a guy like Wayman Tisdale, they're saying Wayman's going to get open. When Wayman gets open, we're going to give him the ball. And guess what? Once he gets the ball, ain't a whole lot you could do. God rest his soul too. But yeah, Wayman Tisdale was my toughest guard, man. It was just, you could beat him to the spot, and he'd work away, and then he'd come back. And once he was open, it wasn't a whole lot you could do,
And you played against Olajuwon. You played against, John Sal. You played against Patrick Ewing. You played against Winnington. You played against some marquee players in the
Hall of
country.
Famer.
Yeah.
That's quite a compliment.
It was a blessing, to be honest with you. We just did what we did. That.
So let's talk about a little bit about the Michael Graham, Andre Hawkins. What would Coach Raftery say? Their interaction in the garden.
Yeah. That's what he called it. Yeah.
The extra conversation that they had. So So you want to make that call, Andre? You remember that play? I'm sure you remember that play.
Oh yeah. I remember everything but the swing.
Mm-hmm.
I know the swing because I've seen the video. But for me, I know exactly why these guys were hot. Every time they cut to try to go high, I stepped in and I put the forearm on it. So you know how Brendan would say, keep your arms up, keep your arms up. And Bernie would say, keep your arms up. So every time one of the big men tried to go, if they were trying to go to the high post, I gave them a shiv. Bam. Mm-hmm. I'd hit them with a little, and then you don't throw an elbow, but you put your body weight into it. And so they'd have to go around or spin.
They call that bump the cutter, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Let them know you're there. A little love tap.
A little bump.
That's right. If you're trying to come high, Chuck, I'm not letting you come high. You're going to have to go behind me and cut around, V-cut or whatever. But yeah, so that was happening all night long. And on that play, I don't know what happened. It seemed like he kept getting the rebound, but kept missing the shot. And finally, I said, I'm going to try to get this rebound.
And you got the rebound. Yeah.
I ended up getting it ripped out his hand. And I was falling or he was pushed me. I remember they called a foul. And the one thing I remember distinctly was they're not going to be able to call a walk. You can watch the video. I dribbled all the way to the ground.
Yes, you did.
So I was dribbling the balls. They couldn't call a walk on me. And then here comes Paparo ejecting them. And really, that game should have been over. That game should have been over. But, unfortunately, it wasn't. And they won. But, yeah, I think he was a little agitated. And when he took that swing or whatever you want to call it, a pour out or whatever. But I had people ask me, did he connect? I said, no, if he had connected, it'd be a whole different video.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? It's been a whole different video because he did not connect. So
he added to that De Hoya paranoia. I mean, Michael, Patrick, Billy Martin. I mean, they just came at you in waves.
They were enforcers. They played with a sense of intimidation. Mm-hmm. But what they really played with, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, of course, it was us against them.
Yep.
Yeah. That 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had that us against them mentality. Anytime a team will come in and you give them Gatorade and they pour out your Gatorade and mix their own, as if you're trying to drug them or something. You know what I mean?
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember. There's little things that you just distinctly remember. And, those guys, they probably, I got to hang out with David Wingate a little bit because I went on that Big East travel team in the summer of my junior year. And David was a nice guy. I was like, wow, come the season, they don't talk. And that, I think of John Thompson, like, what was the role that, what's my man's name? Oh my God. Jack Nicholson played where he was down in Guantanamo Bay and he was the.
Oh yeah. Colonel Jessup.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. If I tell them not to do it, that saves lives. That's how that was the mentality I think Thompson had. He ruled his team. They didn't talk. They didn't interact.
No.
Yeah, he protected his team and he created a very strong, tight knit group. I mean, there's no mistaking it. They were together. They were one unit.
Yeah, well, you hit on something though, Hawk, because every guy from that team that I've had I've run into after we were done playing, there isn't one bad guy in the whole group, including Reggie Williams and Mike. I roomed with Mike on when we played in the USBL, and
we can ask Chuck about Reggie Williams' interaction.
Yeah, there was a little interaction there in the game in '85, and we've run into each other, and and he's a really nice guy, and I'm like, but you never got to know them because they were always told. And Sonny and I have talked about this on the show, is when they had the Big East tournament and we had that luncheon. and guys would sit around the table. They had to look down. They weren't even allowed to look up at anybody. They had to not say a word and just look down. So it was kind of, I never really understood why he did it that way. I do later on, I understood it, but while it was going on, I didn't really get it. Like even when they were playing in the Big East tournament, they'd stay in Westchester somewhere. When we played them,
to be honest with you, Chuck,
you know,
personally, I don't get it, because guess what? I could be, you and I, we're competitors.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know, this is not, you know, do or die. It's competition, and you're playing hard. You're playing to win. And afterwards, yeah, I may not want to break bread with you because we lost, you know, and I'm upset or what have you. But it's not like I have a hatred or a dislike of you. So I'm just saying, as a competitor, it's okay that you want to win and do whatever it takes to win. But you know, when it boils down, it's still a game,
right?
You know, so you I think you kind of miss out. I think they, you know, some of the things with the press, you got to get these guys used to, especially the ones that are going to go pro. You got to get them used to talking to the press, how to handle the press, what to say, what not to say, even if you have to give them a class, you know, so that they can, when they're in front of the press, that they're going to do a good job.
Remember that, Andre? That they were in our face every day in Syracuse.
Yeah.
And
it was good and bad, you know. I mean, you know, the press can be the press. We know that, you know, that just comes with the territory too. But that's part of life, also, you know.
Mm-hmm. But you learn to deal with it.
Yeah, but you guys had that, Sonny, because you had such a great communications program at Syracuse. So you guys had newspaper guys, radio guys, TV guys that are students at your school that went on to do great things. I mean, we can count the number of guys that came out of that place that are big time guys now in the media.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that played into it for you, how much press you guys got.
Now, guys, I hate to be rude, but if I lose you, I try to charge it up, but it's not as charged. But I just want to give you a heads up. So it's not like I'm bowing out. So I'm here until.
Let me ask you, what were some of the toughest arenas that you played in?
Easy. St. Bonaventure's. St. Bonaventure's.
Do you want to tell the story? Go ahead, tell the story.
St. Bonaventure's was very, very rough. Not only the chants, but they hit us with pennies and coins and threw stuff at us. I mean, that was like Beirut or somewhere. I mean, it was just, never had that before at any of the arenas. You had a lot of cheering, a lot of closeness and stuff, you know, the Palestra and areas like that. But St. Bonaventure's, I think, was the toughest arena that I can remember playing in.
Now, you know, they never, ever went back to St. Bonaventure. Coach Boeheim said that's the last time we will play you here after that.
You know, I didn't even think about that. But that was like,
true.
And then I had a guy come over to me and say, "Oh, well, you know, it was just part of the game." I said, "Man, y'all were hitting us with pennies and
pennies. They were kicking us on the bench. They had their knees in their back. They had the priest out there banging the drum, like leading the chants. I'll never forget it. Yeah.
So you agree with me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will say that was by far one of the toughest. That was a snake pit. That was a hard place to play. But you know, the other places, right? The other places was obviously, you know, Capitol Center.
Yeah.
The little gym on Seton Hall. Fortunately, Seton Hall wasn't as strong a team, but that Walsh gym was something else. BC, when you played in that little tiny arena at BC, that was tough.
Yeah. I tell you, one of my most memorable, I don't know if you remember when we played Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah. Remember that?
Digger Phelps, they had that pep rally. He threw the orange at the backboard and had them all fired up. Man, until Pearl stripped that kid, David Rivers, twice. I will never forget that as long as I live.
Speaking of the orange, do you remember the game against Georgetown where the orange hits the backboard, Patrick's on the foul line?
Yeah. That came from like the third tier somewhere, man. I don't even know. They said that admitted that he threw it. The person that actually did it, I don't know.
That's a hell of an arm.
That's crazy, man.
Do you remember Coach Boeheim's reaction?
Oh yeah, he lost it.
Mm-hmm.
He lost it. Are you what was his favorite word? Are you me? Remember you always say he would always say that. Are you kidding me? Well, he didn't say kidding. Coach was a very unique individual, you know, and I think I've grown to appreciate him more over the years, you know, and watching him interaction with the teams and stuff like that, you know, because, you know, it was definitely different. You know, it was definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have more of a day-to-day, you know, over the years. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think when you play for him, it's hard to understand some of the things that occur and some of the things that happen, some of the things that are said, some of the things that are not said. But then when you take, obviously, when you have the gift of distance, right, and lack of personal involvement, you start to really appreciate some of the things that actually get done.
Well, I tell you, and Howie Trish agreed with me. I don't know if you remember the speech, and I think it was because of Pearl. And I say it only because Pearl was the man. And he said, not everybody is the same, and not everybody is treated the same.
Mm-hmm.
In our meeting, and I stood up and clapped, and he looked at me like I was crazy. I said, he's telling y'all the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because it's true. You don't treat everybody the same. You try to be fair, but everybody is not the same, and thus everybody is not treated the same, at least not, you know, in every program. So I just thought that was when you say things you appreciate, I appreciated the honesty.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about as honest as it gets, Hawk, right?
Yeah, you can't get any more honest than that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You can't ask for anything more than that from the guy. How about a couple of Boeheim stories where something happened in a game and some of the things that he used to say to you guys?
Oh my God. Oh my God. The only one that comes to mind for me, and I don't know if I should say this one, Sonny, but I think we were playing was it Alcorn State?
Alcorn State.
You know, with Peter Wynn, and he about lost it on Pete because of something Pete did. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but Pete was a little testy with another player on the other team, and Boeheim about lost it. Boeheim would tell you in a heartbeat, this guy is going to eat your lunch. And I'd be like, you're not eating my lunch, buddy. Yeah. Oh, I got one. I got one for you. Okay. We're playing UConn. And I don't know what happened. Somewhere in the first half, probably within the first 5 or 6 minutes, I get a jump shot at the foul line. I turn, I shoot the shot, hits the front of the rim, bounces off. That was it. I don't even get another shot. That's just the only shot I get. Earl Kelly is killing us, okay? Earl Kelly is killing us, man. And so at the break, he comes in and he gives me the business. He rips me a new one, and he's going, who do you think you are? You think you're some sort of scoring machine? And he just goes into me. I'm looking around the locker room like, what is going on here? Well, second half comes gun shy, like nobody's. I'm looking around. I get the ball. Every time I get the ball, I skip past it to somebody else. I'm not shooting it. I'm barely looking at the rim. We lose the game. I think Larry Belcher scores 0. I score 0. And but Earl Kelly has about 30, I think, at the time. So he goes off on me as if I shot another 10 shots and missed all 10. And I said, well, you know, I had to look around and realize you can't always go off on the guy you want to go off on. You go off on the guy that can take it. So that was my Boeheim story for today. But yeah, I don't know if you remember that game, but I kept looking around like, is anybody else understanding what's going on here?
I think everybody else was like, well, I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah. Because he used to get into my man Wendell.
Yep.
You know how you say stuff like, if he did that to me, you know, what would you do? You'd take it. That's what you do.
Well, Hawk,
They never messed with Pete, though, did they?
He did. No. They didn't mess with Pete. Certain guys you just didn't mess with. That's for sure. So anything you want to cover? Any fond memories? Any game? How about let's talk. Just give us what's one game moment that sticks out in your mind to this day?
Oh, I've got several. I think obviously I think my dunk on Villanova against John Pannone. I got a dunk off. I didn't have as many dunks as Red, so I got a dunk off against Villanova against Ed Pinckney, and Ed Pinckney was a little upset with me for getting the dunk. And I had Ed has been to my house and broke bread. And all of a sudden, Ed's running down the court throwing elbows at me, and I'm like, Ed, what's going on? Easy, man. What's happening? You know, here it is. I probably got 6 points. He's probably got 25, and he's worrying about my one little dunk. You know what I'm saying? But that sticks out. And then one play against St. John's. Dave Russell's coming down on a fast break, and it's just me and Dave, and I'm like, oh my Lord. You know, I've got like a 20-inch vertical. He's got like a 38-inch vertical. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to foul him. And I'm ready to give him the cross body check to keep him from dunking on me on national television. And Dave, and it's on video, Dave goes from pulling it back to dipsy doodle, like he's going to finger roll, puts it right in my face. And I basically grabbed the ball, and a referee calls foul. I got so many of those type of foul calls that you can't, you have to have the angle. You know, if you have the angle, when you're my size, and if I'm standing in front of you, Sonny, you can't tell if I'm draped over you or if I got 2 feet in between us. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That and unfortunately, you tell my man Paparo, he made a lot of those calls from the top of the half court running. I remember one time he ran, the video showed him bobbing and weaving in between people to catch me on a foul. But the guy standing right under the basket didn't call nothing. I said, what are you talking about? That's not your call. You know what I'm saying? You know, stay in your lane. Now, that's what we say now, stay in your lane. Yeah. So, yeah. So when you get Mr. Paparo out here, you let him know, you know, it's, hey, yeah, that's, you can't take over the show.
All right, man. That's great. Those are great memories.
They really are. I mean, I was blessed. Chuck, man, I know you're working with my man Sonny now, but I'm gonna tell you, you're working with the best, one of the most down-to-earth people ever. And his sister makes a mean apple pie.
Well, okay. No well, sugar. Now thanks for letting me know that. I haven't been exposed to the apple pie yet, but I'm looking forward
hopefully
to that.
She has improved on the apple pie. That's all I got to say.
Not as good as Andre's grandma's sweet potato pie. I'll tell you that.
Wow. No, I'm gonna tell you, Sonny's family just one of a kind. You know what it is? After watching and reading so many stories about Massimino, Coach Massimino, it's that Italian. I got to just give it to the Italians, man, because you guys gave us a meal that our freshman year, I'll never forget, man. That your mother threw down. Okay, that's all I could say, man. People don't understand when you have Italian and American, and you got all these guys ready to eat, man. Just
She's here. She's here right now. I'm going to share that with her, Hawk. I'm going to tell her.
That was fabulous.
Thanks, brother.
That was fabulous, man.
Thanks. All right, so let's wrap it up on behalf of the Big East, right? Rewind Zoomcast.
Right,
Our special guest today is the Hawk, Andre Hawkins. I'm co-host. Yeah, that's the claw. That's when you get announced right there. Chuck, it's a bent V. That's Andre's thing.
I know you got to straighten the V out, Hawk.
Oh, that's what you want, the Villanova V.
There you go. There you go.
Take us home, Chuck.
Well, you've been listening to the Big East Rewind with Sonny Spera and myself, Chuck Everson. Our special guest today has been Andre Hawkins from the Syracuse Orangemen. Thanks again, Hawk, for being with us. Again,
hey, thanks, guys, for having me.
The Big East Rewind was produced by Nick Corris and Daryl Gurney. And for any comments, or if you like the show, go down to YouTube and subscribe. If you have any comments or suggestions or people that you'd like to see us interview on the Big East Rewind, email us at bigeastrewind@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day. This has been the Big East Rewind. Have a good night.